United States Navy sets great importance in the proper execution of zone inspections. These inspections are an integral part of the ship's self-assessment process. Meaningful zone inspections are important, both in maintaining and improving the material condition of our ships, and in the professional development of our officers and enlisted personnel. Whether you are the commanding officer or the most junior member of the crew, this training is meant for you. Direct responsibility for the material condition of our ships has been given to the ship's commanding officers, and in turn, this responsibility flows to individual crew members. When you speak of your ship, your space, or your equipment, you are acknowledging and expressing your ownership and your personal responsibility for it. Commander Naval Surface Forces Atlantic's goal for a ship's material condition is like new. Automatically included in the term material condition are the following: space and equipment condition and operability, preservation and cleanliness, orderliness, and correct stowage. It is recognized that the ability to achieve this goal will vary across the force. Operating schedules, funding, and other factors will play an important role. But every officer, chief, and blue jacket in Surfland, whether afloat or ashore, is to strive to achieve this goal for their ship or the ships they support. We can ensure all spaces are clean, free of missile hazards, and support safe equipment operation, and that all systems and equipment are safe to operate and function as designed to support the ship's mission. We can achieve a positive trend in the material condition of each space in every ship, and we must commit to make our ship like new insofar as we are able. If we know what is wrong and consistently work at improving it, it will get better and better. In this video, we shall examine some of the techniques which can be used to perform a successful inspection, whether it is a zone inspection or a routine daily inspection of your spaces. The techniques shown in this short video represent only a few of the items that should be included in a detailed zone inspection. Each discrepancy must be properly documented per the 3M manual and your ship's zone inspection instruction, and corrected if your efforts are to be meaningful. Zone inspections are not operational inspections during which the operation of all equipment and systems is demonstrated. But where equipment is in operation, you will have an opportunity to comment on any noted deficiencies or inadequacies. It must be emphasized that the primary responsibility of every supervisor is to ensure the safety of personnel. From the moment that you first enter a space, be sure you give first priority to recognizing any condition which could be considered as unsafe. In discussing inspection techniques, let us start with some basics on inspecting any compartment, space, or weather deck on any ship. The primary source of requirements for the proper care and maintenance of equipment in a particular shipboard space is the Planned Maintenance System's Maintenance Index page for that equipment and the supporting Maintenance Requirement Cards, MRCs. NAVSEA technical manuals and specific equipment or component technical manuals are others. In most cases, the information on the MRC is derived straight from the manufacturer's technical publications. That is one of the good things about PMS. Generally, you do not have to look through several technical manuals to figure out what maintenance has to be done on a given item. Consider the condition of the structures, systems, and equipment located in the area. This includes the ventilation systems, piping, electrical, electronics, weapon systems, and sensors of all kinds. Try not to view things as self-contained units. Rather view them as part of a larger system and what impact is that unit or component having on the function of the entire system. Be sure to look at everything from a distance and up close. As you enter a space, survey as much of it as you can from the entry point to form an initial impression. As you inspect, cause your eyes to focus on what you are looking for and pay attention. Using a flashlight to guide your eyes over the area where you are looking will help you to do this. Question what you see mentally and out loud when you are not sure. Is this right? Is there something missing? Why is this way? The answers from the space personnel may surprise you. Can the operations conducted in this particular area be done safely given the physical layout and equipment condition? If not, the matter should be reported. Appropriate safety measures should be identified for implementation in the meantime. Examine the overall state of preservation. NSTM Chapter 631 and the Joint Fleet Maintenance Manual Corrosion Control Chapter provide great insight into this important area that is becoming more and more technical. Technology and environmental protection laws have made preservation today much more complicated than scraping off the rust and slapping on a few coats of paint. The hardest thing to identify in an inspection is what is missing. Ghosts in paintwork on gauge boards, bulkheads, etc. are one clue. Empty spots on otherwise cluttered gauge boards are another. Empty brackets and foundations and dead-ended cables or piping are other signs that something is missing. These items should already be documented either as discrepancies or as being authorized. Look for Zerk fittings in systems and equipment that are dirty, painted over, or missing. Oil sumps that have several coats of paint over the inspection port nuts indicate that the sump cover has not been removed for a while. Because we are moving to condition-based maintenance, this may not be a problem but requires a closer look. Is the pump in NOAP? Do the fill cap and drain look like they have been used? Ask to see the record of internal inspection and sampling results, as applicable. Dirty spaces and equipment indicate a general lack of interest in most cases unless there is some clear explanation, such as a major rip-out of equipment as part of an industrial availability. Even then, a well-maintained space should not have an accumulation of industrial waste and dirt. An industrial environment is no excuse for having debris scattered about, except at a work site with actual work taking place. One should find parts of open equipment labeled and safely secured in cans, bags, or boxes as appropriate to ensure that they are not lost while the equipment is being worked on. Disconnected pipes should be capped or have blank flanges installed. Should any unique work such as welding, burning, or gas freeing be ongoing in the space, it should be accomplished per ship's instructions. Personnel performing these special procedures should be knowledgeable of the procedure and its requirements, be properly equipped, and comply with the procedures. Do not forget your own personnel safety. Ensure that the things that you inspect are safe to inspect and that the proper notifications and permissions have been obtained. For instance, obtaining permission to go aloft to check on some antenna platform as part of the inspection. Your inspection of damage control markings, fittings, and equipment should begin at the hatch or door entering the space. The compartment checkoff list should be in place, clean, and legible. The door, hatch, or scuttle that you enter by, and all other entrances into the space should be properly marked with damage control markings on both sides of the entrance. Within the compartment, you should find all fittings properly identified. Select one or two items from the compartment checkoff list and validate that they are properly marked. During your inspection, select one or two items that are not readily accessible and see if they are listed on the compartment checkoff list. Compartment air test fittings should be listed on the compartment checkoff list. They should be clean and capped. Casualty power terminals should be clean, covered, clearly marked, and identified. Casualty power cables should be neatly stowed and each terminal clearly marked and clean. All remote operators and reach rod for valves in the space, passing through the space, and actuated from the space should be clearly marked to identify their purpose and the direction of rotation for opening and closing the valve attached. All gears and flexible joints should be properly lubricated and not obstructed. All operators should be hooked up or logged as out of commission. Remember, remote operators are often located in divisional spaces not related to the actual item the remote device serves. Operating and safety instruction signs should be in place. It is sometimes difficult to determine whether operating or safety instructions are needed. If in doubt, have it checked. Rotating machinery, electrical equipment, and anything where a safety hazard could be expected to exist should have safety instruction signs. If not covered by the operating synchronizing system, operating instructions should be present. The inspection and weight tags associated with firefighting foam, CO2, and PKP equipment should reflect dates within the required inspection cycle. A properly inspected fire hose should have an inspection date stenciled on it. Periodicity of the inspection should be verified and checked. Hoses should be properly stowed, clean, and not have any indication of crumbling rubber or fabric covering. No hose should be closer than 6 inches from the deck to permit cleaning under it without damaging the hose. Hoses that have been oil soaked are not suitable for firefighting purposes. There should be 2 spanner wrenches at each station. Emergency Egress Breathing Devices, EEBDs, should be found at all watch stations inside the ship and along egress routes. The person in charge of a space should know how many are required to be in the space. Overall, the number should be 150% of the ship's complement plus staff, including embarked air units. When inspecting structures, you are looking for indications of cracked or poor welds, corrosion, loose fasteners, and damage. You may see a crack in either the metal itself or the welds joining the pieces of the structure. Corrosion, particularly topside and in the bilges, is another problem. It may take the form of rust, exfoliation, or pitting. It may have been painted over at some point, even though the metal has been severely reduced in its thickness and strength. Even worse, the corrosion may have been just painted over. If you come across other weightlifting equipment, such as unrep gear or a lifting harness, see if there is a record of their weight test results. The structural integrity of radar and antenna platforms and similar structures should be inspected both on top and below. All cable connections should be clean and weatherproofed. If a tilt mechanism is installed, it should be clean and lubricated. All attachment points and fasteners should be in good condition. Handrails, handholds, and ladders should be clean and have no visible weld cracks on attachment points. Ladder treads should provide good slip resistance. Decks covered with terrazzo and other deck coverings are susceptible to moisture getting under the covering and deteriorating the deck below. Pay particular attention to the integrity of these decks, especially around fixtures that are welded to the deck beneath and at the edges of the covering. Where you find a buckled deck covering, you will often find that there is moisture between the deck covering and the deck. There should be no open bulkhead penetrations, such as unused bulkhead stuffing tubes in watertight or flame-tight compartments. When inspecting doors, hatches, and scuttles, the knife edge should leave a consistent, centered imprint all the way around a clean, properly fitted gasket. Dogs and striker plates should be clean and preserved. Contact should be even and complete when closed. Horizontal hatches should have their stanchions attached and safety pins installed on both sides of the hatch, whether opened or closed. Deck plates and gratings made of the appropriate material should be present and properly secured with approved fasteners. Deck plate should have an approved fastener at each corner. Plates which must be moved to access reach rods, etc., should be hinged. Deck plates and gratings should be clean and mounted on a solid framework of angle iron. Handrails should be in place where required to protect users. Inclined ladders should have a ladder back to assist in maintaining the cleanliness of the space. Ladder backs should be clean and secured in place. Ladder treads should be clean and offer traction for the user. Safety pins securing the ladder should be in place. A non-skid applique should be in place at the top and foot of the ladder. Vertical ladder should have bolts or safety pins securing the ladder. A safety chain and stanchions should surround the hatch. The ladder should be clean and a non-skid applique should be in place at the top and foot of the ladder. There should be a handhold at the top of the ladder that is clean and an easy reach for persons using the ladder. Escape trunk should have Ellison doors that operate correctly. A door should operate smoothly, close and open fully, and not be obstructed. There should be nothing stored in an escape trunk. Let's shift now to hull, mechanical, and electrical equipment. When you are looking at a piece of HM&E equipment, whether it is a main feed pump, an anchor windlass, a gun mount, or galley copper, try and see it overall and then concentrate on its components in detail. It should be clean with no corrosion present. You should not see evidence of anything missing, unfilled flange holes or missing covers, etc. If the item has piping connections, the flanges should be properly made up with their faces in parallel planes and all fasteners in place and equal in appearance. Is there evidence of leaks in the unit or from others in the vicinity that are impinging on this unit? Measuring devices such as gauges and thermometers should be in place and properly mounted. They should also be legible and calibrated. If missing, as evidenced by an empty gauge panel, the connection should be tagged out. The equipment may be out of commission. If there are any rubber boots or connectors, are they in good condition? They should not be painted. All nuts, bolts, and studs should be clean, preserved, and secure. Valves should be clean with preserved valve stems and operators where attached. Such operators should be traced back to their remote operating position to ensure that they are properly made up, and that all intermediate universal joints, gearboxes, etc. are clean, lubricated, and unobstructed. Electrical connections should be attached to clean junction boxes with cable connectors in place. These should be clean and located in dry spots so that they are not continually exposed to moisture. Oil sumps should be clean and preserved, and the nuts, bolts, and studs of inspection ports should be clean and preserved for routine removal. Foundations for all equipment should be thoroughly inspected, the surface between the equipment and the foundation, as well as the bottom of the foundation. They should not be corroded. All bolts or studs and nuts attaching the equipment to the foundation should be in good repair, and if the equipment is running, there should be no visible vibration of the equipment on the foundation. Rotating coupling and shaft guards should be in place whenever personnel are in close proximity. Concentrate on any unique features or aspects of the equipment to make sure they are physically present and in apparent good condition. If the equipment is running, does it sound like it should or like you think it should? If not, question what might be wrong. Are inlet and outlet pressures steady? Are gauge readings within their prescribed ranges? These are some of the things that a good HM&E inspection will include. What about electronic equipment? When inspecting electronics equipment, the first thing to consider is the condition of the rack or cabinet containing the equipment. Is it properly grounded? Are grounding straps properly insulated and fastened and in good condition? Is the rack or cabinet structurally sound and properly secured to the bulkhead, deck, or overhead? Where shock mounts are installed, do they appear to be in good condition? Is the cabinet that contains the equipment in good condition? Are the labels legible and complete? If there are any rubber boots installed on switches, etc., are they in good condition? Are there any latches or closures that are not properly made up or working? Are all electrical connections properly made up? Are all cables in good condition and appear to have adequate slack for movement of the equipment? Are the cables properly banded? Be particularly alert for anything that appears to be a temporary or jury rig installation. There should not be any extension cords or non-standard hookups for Navy electronics equipment. Are waveguides in good condition? If cooling water is required, are the connections properly made up? Is there any indication of leakage? Are there any obviously broken meters, covers, etc.? Are any handsets or other attachments in good condition? Is there anything in the immediate vicinity that is apt to affect the condition of the equipment, such as a dripping water leak over the equipment? Are any physical security or protective features in place and effective? Are operating and safety instructions posted as required? Inspecting weapons mounts and missile launcher equipment is the next area we will discuss. Gun mounts should be well preserved with a tompion or canvas cover for each barrel. There should be no puddles of hydraulic fluid inside the mount. The mount should be very clean with a coat of grease on all unpainted metal surfaces. All weather seals should be in good condition. Manned mounts should be properly equipped with communications, headphones, etc. Safety circles painted on deck and safety warnings should be clear and well defined. Associated benchmarks should be clean and preserved. Weight handling equipment, cranes, davits, monorails are yet another category of items that require inspection. When inspecting these items, you should find the weightlifting certification for the equipment should be attached and visible. Safety operating instructions should be posted. The control position should be clean and in good condition. Electrical cables should be in good repair, and where required, rubber boots should be installed on controls. All fittings should be preserved. There should be no frayed or thinned lifting cables. Are lifting cables properly slushed to ensure proper preservation? Structures should not reflect any damage, bending, or cracked welds. Strongbacks should be straight, and any pads or positioning devices should be in good repair. There should be no obstructions or unauthorized stowage in the working area of these devices. Boat gripes for davits should be in good repair and fitted so that they restrain any boat motion. Brakes should be clean. No oil or foreign matter should be permitted on the brake shoes. Tie downs and lashings should be in good condition and where fitted should be taut. Boat booms, accommodation ladders, boarding ladders, and mast hand rungs should all have clean ladder rungs and good footing surfaces. All pins and attachments should be in good repair. There should be no cracked welds or damaged pieces to these fixtures. When inspecting elevators, dumbwaiters, and vertical stores conveyors, you should find safety and operating instructions posted. Rails and guides should be clean and well greased. All guide rollers should be free and functioning. All operating and safety switches should be in good order